Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United podcast, coming off the back of a very, very disappointing 2-1 defeat away at Wolves. Scott, let's get right into it. What are your feelings, mate?
I was pretty disappointed, mate, if you're honest. Thought we played pretty well. We didn't deserve to get beat. Yeah, a bit disappointed. How about you?
Massively disappointed, buddy. Same sort of feelings as you. We started all right, didn't we? Obviously, there's certain events happened in the game that turned the match in their favour, but the main thing is the drop 3 points, mate, and the situation it leaves us in. It's a bad time to drop 3 points.
Yeah, awful. The worst time to do it, and we can't beat Wolves twice in 2 weeks. It's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, and it started pretty well for us, didn't it? It was a very rainy night in the Birmingham area. And Lingard started straight through the middle, straight through, had a dig, straight from the kickoff. And then just after 5 minutes, Lukaku had a very big chance. The header from Delo down the right. Should have scored there, mate.
Got to score it. We were wasteful on three. You got to say three headers tonight, and that was the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on 10 minutes, we did our usual short corner. First corner of the game we had, took it short and ended up giving them a goal kick. Which is just mental. But then 13 minutes, a great moment for Scott McTominay. First goal for United, 41st appearance, 25 yards out. Fred squares it off to him, beats Rui Patricio, brilliant moment for the lad.
Yeah, it was a wonderful goal and a great play from Jesse to keep the play running. He was the furthest man forward and he managed to keep possession and give it back to Fred and make something come of it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And a good start by Fred, actually, right in the middle of the park, playing with McTominay to the right and Pogba to the left. I thought we controlled the game well early days.
Yeah, he was playing pretty well. And, we're used to seeing McTominay playing the most defensive of the midfield trio. And I think today they did a bit of a switch and Fred was back there and McTominay was more in the Ander Herrera role. And I thought he was very good as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. And then we had a big chance just a couple of 4 minutes later. Lingard totally unmarked in the middle. Lukaku whipped it in from the left. Really should have scored that one. I mean, what a miss.
Awful. Really, three headers that we had, we put them straight in the grasp of the goalkeeper, and the corners were just begging us for it to go in there.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. It was bad stuff. But, early days, going into 25 minutes, we had the edged possession, 53-47. We had 6 shots to 1, 3 shots on target to 0, 1 corner apiece, and we committed 4 fouls to 0. So we were well on top first 25 minutes, wouldn't you say, Scott?
I thought we were playing really well. I really did. We had a lot of purpose. I think that the goal gave McTominay a bit more confidence. Fred was playing great in that midfield position he was in. And then it sort of all just fell apart.
It really did. It was the goal that did it, wasn't it? 25 minutes out of nowhere.
Completely
and I was just thinking, we're right on top. This is perfect performance, perfect setup. Ollie's set us up perfectly. And then Jota again burst through the middle, fired at home and turned the match on its head, didn't it?
It was just a shame because as we were saying, Fred had been playing well. Again, very wet night, slippy ball. De Gea plays that short goal kick out to him, and he didn't quite have it to control it. It was just to completely turn the game.
It really did, mate. And then following that, they had a spate of half chances as well. Really, we sort of it changed the whole dynamic. We were really cruising, and then I guess the ghost of the FA Cup tie started coming back, and as we say, it turned the tie on its head and evened the game up totally, didn't it?
Yeah, and it made those 2 missed headers from Lukaku and Lingard seem even more valuable now.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. And it was only going to get worse, unfortunately. Going in half time, it was pretty even. We had about 25 minutes of it. They had about 27 minutes of it with the extra couple of minutes added on. 7 shots each, 3-2 to us on target, 50-50 possession. Uncannily similar, actually, these stats. 251 passes for them, 255 for us. 78% accuracy for them, 79% for us. one corner apiece. The only thing was we committed 9 fouls to their 1, 2 yellows to their 0-2. So really, really sort of 50-50 half, you must say.
Yeah, and one of those bookings was Luke Shaw, unfortunately. So now he's suspended for the next 2 games after picking up 10.
Yeah.
And this was the last game that it would have affected him. So that was a real shame.
Yeah, another cherry on top of the delightful cake we've had tonight, Scott. Yeah, so unfortunately, second half we came out. Fred, Big Dipper on 47 minutes. Pogba and McTominay just switched over as well. So Pogba played out to the right and McTominay to the left for a little while. We were on the
Yeah, they actually switched around 35 minutes. The last 10 minutes of the first half, I noticed that McTominay was playing more on the left and Pogba was on the right, and it set up that chance for Lukaku. Sorry
yeah.
to go
No,
back.
you're right, yeah.
But,
Yeah, absolutely. And what I say, we were on the front foot here, but we weren't really penetrating, were we? We were probing, but there wasn't that penetration we've seen under Ollie in weeks gone by.
no, there wasn't. Fred's long shot was the only real thing of note for the first 10 minutes of the second half, and then we had that chance. Scott McTominay had another great chance. I thought he was actually the shining light tonight. I thought he was really good. But that
I have to agree.
header that he missed around 55 minutes was a real shame. I thought great cross from Lukaku.
It wasn't a lovely flick on by Pogba.
Yeah.
Really good. You're right. There wasn't much going on apart from on the 52nd minute, Young got booked, and and I at the time I thought, has Dean had his century yet?
I thought exactly the same thing.
And actually looked it up. Honestly, when Young got his red card, it was up on my computer screen. I just flicked it up and popped on Mike Dean 100 red cards, and it said it was back in February. They were saying, "Oh, is he going to get his next one?" And as soon as I whipped it up, I thought he's going to get us 100%. Mike Dean's going to get us, and so it came to pass. Unfortunately, just 3 minutes later, 57 minutes, 5 minutes after he got booked. He got a bit of the ball, but unfortunately, you can't really criticise Dean for this one, I don't think.
I said at first that it was soft, and then having looked at 7 replays, I actually changed my mind to unlucky. It was a difficult ball to control, and then he actually went over the top of the ball. I would stress to say that if he hadn't been booked, it might have even been a red card.
At the very least, it was a very, very daft challenge to make when you know what Mike Dean's like. And you know you're on a yellow, and you know he's on his century as well. It's just,
and he's been desperate for weeks to flag his 100th, right? And I think we said a few. I can't even remember the game, but it was that long ago. I can't believe he hadn't shown another red card in the time.
Exactly, and what better way to get it than the United captain? And as a bonus, it's Ashley Young, who I can't imagine is a big favourite amongst referees.
Yeah, and I think the happiest thing for him is he's become the first referee ever to show 100 red cards. So he gets his statistic for the night.
Well done him. And then we almost had another calamity. Dave and Victor Lindelof. Actually, I don't think it was Lindelof's fault at all. He shielded the ball well. Dave slid out, and for some reason didn't bother to just grab the ball. He just sort of slid it. And if they'd had a dig, the goal was actually totally open, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. He seemed nervous again tonight, Dave De Gea.
I was going to let you say it, yeah, because you said it last week, didn't you? Or just yesterday now, wasn't it? Yeah, he was. He was shaky again. He doesn't look himself, does he?
He definitely doesn't.
No, unfortunately not. So yeah, Ollie rolled the dice then. He had to change the shape. He popped Jones on for Fred, 3 at the back, Smalling in the middle, Victor on the right, Jones on the left. And it did immediately give us a bit more urgency, didn't it? I don't know if it was instructions or the shape change. We didn't look like 10 men for the next sort of 10 minutes at all, I didn't think.
No, I thought we actually kept the same sort of formation, right? And somewhat the same system. I think the beginning of the game, we probably started with a 5-3-2 or, a bit of a hybrid formation with Young playing at the right centre-back / right back. And then more at the beginning of the second half, we moved more into a 4-4-2 with Delot more on the right wing. But I'll be honest, I was really impressed with how Jesse Lingard was so penetrative in the first half, and I thought he went missing in the second half.
Yeah, no, he did. He's only come back from injury now, hasn't he? So, to be fair to me, he's probably lacking a bit of fitness. And then obviously another roll of the dice, Martial on, Lukaku off. Martial came on, looked quite sharp. And then 77th minute, unfortunately, an absolute blooming mess in the middle. De Gea, Smalling in there, and Smalling ends up scoring with his hand, I believe. 2-1 Wolves, and an absolute bubble burster for us.
Calamitous goalkeeping, calamitous defending. Bag of nerves, mate. I don't know why he didn't just come in and jump straight on the ball. He sort of he wanted to go for the challenge, but didn't want to get in the middle of it. And it was really difficult to watch.
It really was, Scott, and unfortunately, it sort of gave us 15 minutes to try and claw something out of the game with 10 men, and with obviously losing there a couple of weeks ago. It looked like a mountainous task, didn't it? It looked like it was never going to happen, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and to be fair to Wolves, they just kept pushing and kept throwing everything they had at us. And when we were playing with 10 men against 3 forwards, chasing the game, we just looked all over the place. There were huge gaps, and we got cut apart so easily, and we were just there for the taking.
Yeah, they were very patient, weren't they? They kept a very tight formation, rigid formation, and played on the break, and really strangled us for those last sort of 10 minutes. We chucked Pereira on for Delot. Almost another own goal from Smalling as well. Dave had to save him that time, down to his right, and then almost.
I think it was the best save he made all night.
Yeah, it was. He didn't have too many saves to make, to be fair, did he? Unfortunately, that's becoming a bit of a habit. Not many saves to make, but then he lets in a couple that he shouldn't. Then almost 3-1 in injury time. Cavallero threw, rocketed it off the bar. And that was good night for us, unfortunately, mate.
Yeah, not before we had a chance to have another crap corner. 94 minutes, and you just think, okay, here we've got to just chuck it in the middle here, right? And couldn't even get it in the middle. I couldn't believe it.
I didn't have the heart to mention it, Scott, but yeah, you're spot on. The corners were absolutely desperate tonight. I thought Young going off might improve the situation. It didn't.
It didn't. No, it didn't.
It was desperate, and I just don't get it.
I think 69, 70 minutes we had a corner, and there are only 3 men in the box. We're down to 10 men. You think it's 1-1 at the time. It's one of the best chances we've got to get back in front, and we got 3 men in the box, and we got 4 men just lurking outside the box. It just didn't make any sense. And we managed to get another corner a couple of minutes later. We got 6 in the box that time, and actually get quite a good chance come out of it with McTominay with another header. I think he had 7 shots on goal tonight, or headers. And it just, you just think when it was around 70, just before they scored, I thought to myself, I wonder how many of these chances we're going to rue.
Yeah.
And I was only thinking we were going to draw. I was thinking, if we could come out of this with a point, how many of these chances are we going to think, we could have won it with that, we could have won it with that, and miss a huge chance to go third today, massive chance, and
we really have, Scott, because it's an absolute shocker. We stay in 5th. We're level on points with Spurs, 2 points behind Arsenal, and we've had a game in hand on them now. Only 1 point ahead of Chelsea. Mm-hmm. We don't play again until Barcelona in 8 days. So that's the last game we play before Barcelona. Another piece of crap to add to the evening. And it gets worse, unfortunately, because Chelsea play twice before we next play. Spurs play twice before we next play, and Arsenal play once before we next play. And they're all winnable games. So effectively, we could be looking at, although we'd have games in hand, or a game in hand, we could be staring down the barrel here going into the run-in. It's awful timing, Scott.
Yeah, and I think more pressing.
Sorry, did I cheer you up there?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Not even a little bit.
Sorry, Reds. It's just, it's the truth.
Yeah, more pressing for us is the fact that playing against 3 forwards, as I said, we looked all over the place.
Yeah,
we couldn't pick. You could see Ollie screaming from the bench. It's 1-on-1. Just find your man and stay on him. And still, that we were getting beaten for pace. And we're playing against Suarez, Messi, and Dembele next week, and I've lost a lot of the confidence which I've found.
Yeah, it's the one weekend you don't want a weekend off before a Champions League quarter final, isn't it? We'd much rather be playing now. 8 days to rot on that performance. I know it's your favourite part of the show, Scott. So you got man of the match for me?
I'd have to say McTominay. I think he was probably the only one who got above a 6.
I'm going with you with that one. 100%. He was superb. Took his goal, had a load of digs, seemed up for it all the way throughout. Yeah, really happy for the lad. But to be honest with you, there weren't too many candidates tonight, were there?
There weren't. And it made you wonder where Ander Herrera was tonight. If all of this talk about him leaving at the end of the season is true, then playing McTominay in that role, it doesn't actually look that bleak anymore, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and have you got thoughts on Pogba today? He shone in sort of very short bursts, didn't he? I thought he wasn't at the races again personally.
Yeah, and I was watching him a lot off the ball, and you can't fault him for trying. He was busting a gut to get into the box at the end in the second half, the last 20 minutes when we were going forward.
Yeah.
But no, he was definitely not up to his standards or any standards, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the team now, Scott. So we've had a great run under Ollie. Everything was looking rosy. We were swept away on our magic carpet, and it was bloody brilliant. Now we've obviously had a few very bad results now. Obviously, the team's not perfect. The squad's not perfect. At this stage, looking at the team now, where are the obvious parts that we can improve? I mean, we've discussed the right side before. And again, the right side wasn't great today when Ashley Young got sent off, didn't he? So the right side definitely let us down again. What are you thinking, mate, in terms of sort of the three main areas that we need to improve? Position
I'd
for
go
position.
central defence, central midfield.
One in central defence to partner Victor, or
Yeah, I mean, I maybe get 2 in there if you could, but I don't think there's going to be an opportunity to do so. I think if Napoli won 150 million for Koulibaly or Real Madrid won 100 million for Varane, it's hard to think we're going to get both of those. I would maybe just bring one in and partner Lindelof. And I'll be honest, I think Smalling had a pretty poor game given we had given him so much credit the other day. It was perfect timing. I don't think he's as bad as he made out to be tonight.
no, I don't think he is. But I'm thinking if we're going to launch assaults on the Premier League title and on the Champions League proper, Chris Small is not your starting centre back, is he?
I don't think you can say he is, but I'd bring one in, partner Lindelof, have Smalling on the bench. I think Marcus Rojo is probably going to go. Eric Bailly's probably going to go, and then we're left with Phil Jones.
Yeah. And then midfield, what would you do? Go for a Matic replacement, or?
It's tough to say. I think that all depends on whether Paul Pogba stays, mate. And judging by tonight's performance and the very small possibility we have of now getting in the top 4, I'm more worried about that than I was yesterday.
Yeah, his body language wasn't great today either, was it? He was doing his old. He seems to, when he plays badly, he seems to just limp the whole game. He walks as if he's got a limp, doesn't he? Almost like I can't be bothered kind of thing. I'm not saying he can't be bothered, but it looks like he can't be bothered.
Yeah, it seems petulant, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And would you, so say Pogba stayed, would you bring in sort of a playmaker in midfield? I'd certainly go for someone like Verratti personally.
Yeah, I know you've been begging us for Verratti for about 5 years now.
I have indeed.
Yeah, I think that I think that has to be pretty high up on the list of things we need. I would maybe move Delo back to right back and try and get us in the right winger as well, because I think if we can move Rashford up to play up top and Martial on the left, we really need someone on the right who is as good as those two.
So let's look on the bright side. Say Rofford, Bale, and Jadon Sancho, and we can have one of them. Who do you take for that right hand side?
It's really tough. I think that we're probably in a position that we need Bale more than Sancho, but I think we'd probably prefer Sancho over Bale because of he's a long-term prospect, possibly got resale value, etc., etc. But in terms of a ready-made superstar or a guy who can come in and win us points immediately, I think you'd have to say Bale.
Yeah, and maybe that would sort of go well with the youth and exuberance of Rashford and Martial and Lingard as well. I mean, Sancho might, just add a bit more youth to it, fine, but I think Bale might balance it up a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah, and also it'd be nice to have a threat from the left to beat a man and to also cut in and shoot, because we've kind of got one or the other on most weeks, or nothing up on the right hand side. Sometimes there's not really a right winger at all, is there?
No, and I think you could see from the Champions League final last year that when he came on, he was head and shoulders above Premier League quality, right? And I think that his last year at Spurs, he won them so many points himself that he would still be a candidate for Player of the Year if he was to move to England.
See, that's a really good point, Scott. I think I know full well how fickle the Real Madrid fans are, and you're talking about a guy who comes on, scores an overhead kick in the Champions League final, and then scores from outside the box as well, and he's already got history in finals for Madrid as well, and within months they're booing him. It's incredible stuff, absolutely
It's
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
And you think about
20 years after Ole Solskjaer wins us the European Cup and we're still lauding him and we're still putting him high on the pedestal where he deserves to be. And 3-4 months after Gareth Bale wins them a European Cup, they're booing him. It's incredible stuff.
I'll be honest with you, mate. You only need one moment like that for United. As far as I'm concerned, Federico Makeda will always be a legend to me. If you step up and do a moment that fires United to the Premier League or the Champions League, the FA Cup, you write yourself into history. As far as I'm concerned,
I would argue that Gareth Bale's already somewhat of a Manchester United legend, given that his exploits in the Champions League final last year.
yeah, he certainly helped us avoid a very, very long summer, Scott.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, as I said, we've got 8 days until the Barcelona game. I think we'll do a proper preview show for that, because we're not in the best of mood tonight, are we? After that loss, so I think we'll get this out of our system, and we'll be back on before the Barcelona game. You got any final thoughts, Scott, for me? Obviously, a really, really disappointing night.
I have my 3 talking points that I was looking at all game, and I really did like the hybrid formation that we came out with. That we started more with a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2,
Similar to how we played in Paris, right?
second half. Yeah, when Bailly went off.
Yeah.
And it was great to see. And then second half, we were able to switch to a 4-4-2. Obviously, before Young got sent off, without having to make any subs. And I thought it's really smart management to be able to do that.
Yeah, spot
And
on.
now you got to think that with Ashley Young and with Luke Shaw going to be banned for the next game or two, it's going to be pretty tough back there. I don't know who. Probably have to play Rojo left back, Delo right back, and see how we're doing. Maybe Darmian will come back in the fold for a game or two.
Yeah, so we're going to have a Young band and we're going to have a Shaw band as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
Absolute shocker. Unbelievable. You got another talking point for me?
I think it's got to be Scott McTominay, mate. I think that for, as you say, 41. This was his 41st game tonight, and for 40 games, you've always thought, how and when would he ever score his first goal? He's never produced a attacking threat at all, and today he was all over the place. Long shots, headers. I think he refines his finishing a little bit more, and he could maybe even be a 10-goal a season kind of player.
That'd be nice. I know he scored a fair few when he was in the youth teams and whatnot. But he when he first broke into the first team, I seem to remember him having a few digs, and then they dried up. He played very, very deep for a while, didn't he? Hardly left his own half. But you're right. It's the boy became a man tonight, I think.
Yeah, I just wish that the rest of the lads would have followed suit.
Yeah. But you know what? We've got to look at the positives, and he was definitely a positive tonight. And as you say, if Herrera is unfortunately leaving, it is a nice replacement for him, because I think we'd be looking for a first-team midfielder anyway, regardless of whether Herrera left or not. So yeah, you got one more for me, buddy?
It's not a good one, but I thought just our defence was pretty poor tonight, mate. I thought The second half, especially, we were just all over the place. It just reminded me of the first half of the season, to be honest, that we were just all over the place at times.
Yeah, I have to agree. It wasn't great at all, and you've obviously touched on that with saying that you wanted a couple of centre backs in the summer. But again, I mean that's kind of what I was touching on. Smalling and Jones, I can't criticise their commitment at all, but it is just you can't deny that when they play together, things go wrong.
Yeah, there just doesn't seem like there's a proper leader between the two of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, or the leader of the defence. I think they're leaders in terms of spirit, but not in terms of organisation. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's much better said.
The irony. All right, Scott. Obviously, a disaster for us tonight. We'll bounce back. We'll be back before the Barcelona game. Keep your chins up, Reds. We always stay positive. Ollie will be geeing the lads up and saying, look, the main thing as a United player is the turnaround. You lose a game, you turn around and you win the next one. You've got to be the same as fans, turn around, forget about this, on to Barcelona. Who knows? We go to Barcelona a lot more confident than we went to Paris, right?
Yeah, you'd hope so. I find that we perform the best when no one expects us to and when our backs are against the wall. And I just hope that we follow suit.
Let's hope that's the case, Scott. We'll see you in a few days, Reds. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you later.
Ta-da.